Your family, your health, our passion. This is Family Practice with Dr. Jeffrey Foxx, sponsored by Family Practice Associates of Lexington, PSC. Visit us at fpalex.com and like us on Facebook.
It seems like summer just started, but in almost 2 weeks, it's going to be time to go back to school, and we're going to help you get ready. And when you go back to school and get in the classroom, infectious disease can be a problem. We're going to talk about pink eye and lice. Also, falls can have major devastating health effects. We're going to talk prevention and risk. And Bill of Lexington is here to tell us what they do and what their plans are. To start out with is my daughter, Dr. Amanda Foxx, who is double boarded in internal medicine, old people, and pediatrics, young people, cradle to the grave. But we're dealing with kind of young people and going back to school. Let's start with the back to school exam. Why and when?
Yeah, so, back to school in Fayette County is Wednesday, August 14th for most people. Some of the elementary schools are going back a little bit earlier. But they, when you enroll your kid, they want to make sure you've got your shots up to date and you've had a checkup, you've had your eyes checked, and you've had your teeth checked. So you want to have all that ready to go before you get them enrolled. So it's a lot just like a regular checkup. Just make sure that they're growing okay and that they've met a lot of the milestones that makes them ready to go to school. And of course, make sure they're up to date on their shots so we can prevent all the illnesses that we can.
Now, you mentioned shots or vaccines. What are some basics, and are there any new ones, and which ones should people be focused on?
Yeah, so, the biggest ones usually for people before they go to kindergarten, they've already gotten when they were 4 years old. So they're boosters of shots that they had when they were 1. So at 4, you get an MMR shot, or measles, mumps, and rubella, a chickenpox booster, a whooping cough booster, and a polio booster. So you've had all of those, so you know how they're going to react to them. They're going to be okay, and you give them a booster when they're 4, and so they should be ready to go when they go to kindergarten. So.
Now, you mentioned measles, which we've seen a little bit of resurgence of, and whooping cough, we've seen in central Kentucky here a big resurgence of in terms of whooping cough.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about those and why we were worried.
Yeah, so they're vaccine preventable illnesses that can make particularly little babies really sick. They can make them have a hard time breathing, particularly whooping cough. And they can make them stop breathing, which is obviously very scary. Pregnant moms will get whooping cough boosters, and we tell grandparents to go get their whooping cough boosters. It also makes big kids and adults really sick, and even if you do okay, you cough for a really, really long time, which is miserable. So
the bottom line, get your booster, and if you are around somebody's infected, you might want to talk to your doctor about antibiotics.
Call your doctor, because they could maybe give you some medicine to prevent you from getting sick. So.
Now, when you do the physical exam to go back to school, you always weigh the person.
Yeah.
So is obesity really a problem in kids going to school?
Yeah, obesity is something we want to think about for kids, really just in terms of how much physical exercise they're going to get, right? You're going to have your picky eaters, and kids are going to want to eat kid food, and, as they're, parents or grandparents or aunts or uncles, you just want to encourage them to make healthy choices, to eat some vegetables, eat some fruit, try to drink some water. But really the big thing is make sure they're getting enough physical activity, and that kind of rolls into just make sure they're not having too much screen time, because screen time is sedentary time.
Now, you mentioned screen time. Are there some guidelines there?
Yeah, so we'd like kids under 2 to not have any screen time, and then kids over 2, really the goal is 1 to 2 hours a day or less.
So we talked about obesity, we talked about exercise, we talked about vaccines, we talked about physical exams. So you do a lot just in that little short period of time.
Yeah.
Are there any other advice, like people going to college? You might even see them in terms of drugs, alcohol, other things?
Yeah, just make sure that, you've got some safety things that you've thought about. Make sure you're avoiding things like drugs and alcohol, of course, but you're not texting when you're driving, you're not distracted driving. Make sure that you've gotten your meningitis B vaccine before you go live in the dorms, or at least talk to your doctor and your parents about it.
Anything else that we should be concerned about? I mean, there's some diseases coming up here. We're going to talk a little bit about pink eye and lice. Any other things that we should be worried about?
The biggest thing to get ready to go to school is make sure you're back on a good sleep schedule, right? Because everybody's sleep schedule is all over the place for the summer, and it's really important to not be tired in school so you can learn. Another really important thing is make sure you get something to eat before you go to school, or at least you get breakfast at school when you get there.
Well, that's great information. We appreciate you coming in, and we appreciate you taking care of the kids and getting them ready to go back to school.
Yeah.
And just remember, about 2 weeks, make sure you schedule your back to school exam. We'll be right back.